Hi, my name is Nathan, and today we're going to do a full comic book review of King Spawn, issues number 7 through 12, part 2, where Spawn takes the throne and becomes more violent and brutal in the process with it. This is part 2 of the King Spawn story. Now, if you haven't checked out part 1 of King Spawn, the first story arc, the card is up top, and I'll put the link in the description if you just click on the video for the first time. So you definitely want to go back, follow that story arc 1 through 6 before you get into King Spawn, issues number 7 through 12. Before we get into the content, timestamps will be in the description if you wish to go from issue to issue. And also, if you wish to purchase any of the comic books in this review, link in the description as well. Support the art, support the industry. Last but not least, if you like the content we're throwing up, you know what to do. Like the video, subscribe to this channel. It'll help Rated Comics to make more comic book reviews and comic book related content like this, especially some Spawn content as well, because most of this channel is going to be Spawn content. With all that being said, let's get into the content. Now, I hope you guys can forgive me for my voice sounding like this, but after I get this comic book review out, I got to rest up and rest my voice for the next comic book review. We begin this issue with, after a brutal battle with Jason Wynn in Botswana, Spawn has returned back to the shadow alleys of New York City. Instead, he finds a putrid stench filled with city crawling with rats employed by Jason Wynn, who work for the Exodus Foundation, the secret bank behind the terrorist group Psalms 137. Gunfire is going off, and that group is why Spawn has returned. Wynn told him that Wanda could come back and that the Exodus could make that happen. So when these bullets are going at Spawn, this greed, smoke, necroplasm, Spawn uses that to reverse the bullet right back around into the Exodus Foundation, into their head. But one thing that keeps bothering Spawn is Wynn talked about Wanda in a manner that seemed way too freaking comfortable. Spawn's like, the way he spoke her name, he sounded like she was already back. And he's looking at the number 11. Terry's like, this feels like a trap, like they're expecting us. Spawn's like, good. Then we'll walk right in the front door and I'll take what I want. And then Terry's like, what is it that you want, Spawn? I heard that Wynn said he was talking about Wanda, like taunting you, making you think you could bring her back. I don't give a damn what any of you think right now. I'm wondering why they changed her numbers to 11. Terry's like, I don't get it. What does that got to do with Wanda? Maybe nothing, maybe everything. Use your training. They didn't change that number for no reason. So Terry's like, you're just gonna go back at it? Okay, well, I need to know if it's true. Can you actually bring her back, like Wynn said? And Spawn's like, you already said it. They're taunting us, and even if I could, I wouldn't. Now focus on why they chose 11. Who gives a shit, says Terry. Spawn gives Terry his moment. In previous wars, part of Terry's job was to read codes and to crack ciphers. He was always better at it when he was angry, and of course if he focuses. And he figured it out. 1, 3, 7. Combined they're 11. It's the sum. It's what the numbers of Psalm 137 add up to, Spawn. And on this panel we get this awesome panel of the throne of Spawn that they want him to take, and these text messages talking about the 11th hour. What does that even mean? A bunch of a-holes are saying the Psalms things. The king is going to be exalted. Get off the thread. Let's do this. It's the 11th hour. 11. In biblical terms, it's a number that denotes chaos. 11 priests working in Congress against Spawn, that some still in the shadows. Then we see these people, these villains, these monsters, these agents, they're like looking below. They're like, okay, when Spawn arrives, the first wave begins. The protests will soon turn into riots. Chaos will ensue, and Spawn will come. And then Mammon's like, you think your theatrics will draw Spawn to the throne? Theatrics? This brother, the Black April, gets pissed about you calling my shit theatrics. You tripping? What is it that you think this is, Mammon? Your time sitting in Mount Bozier's throne has blinded you to our new reality. And this crazy fight in Dolls, Mammon turns into this, is it this lizard or the swamp thing or whatever? And he's like, no, more. He's one man, and none of you can destroy him. You failed me, Mammon. You failed me. Spawn's one man. Ezreal, that's enough, off panel. And Ezreal's like, no, I decide what's enough. He pushes Mammon onto the God throne. And it's like this John Carpenter thing. His skin starts boiling. Other heads and other spirits like emerge from his body, and you can tell this guy is in tremendous pain. But not until you feel the pain from the souls of the next world. And then boom, all this beautiful blood and guts explodes out of him. You are the court of priests. Act like it. Now the leader, Black Azrael, wants the others to understand the seriousness of this message, having them watch Mammon's punishment will drive that point. Now come to your leader. Now come all of you. Our leader commands we find Spawn and deliver him to his throne. One of you tend to Mammon's wounds. And it's kind of funny. Rain pours down in the city. Spawn and Terry, they find one of the Exodus soldiers and they disappear. And just like that, in front of the Exodus tower, it's like they're doing this march. The day Wanda Blake died. It's a flashback, and Spawn's like, they're playing games, they're playing mind games, they're liars. What are they doing? It's deja vu, and it's not pretty, but it's actually more than that. Terry's like, wait, is that Wanda's car? Let's go. It might be her. I don't want you reliving this, Spawn. Spawn's like, we can't. It's not real. Then someone in the crowd shoots, and starting a riot that catches Wanda's car inadvertently in the action. Every witness said her death was a tragic accident caused by an overzealous mom. And these mobsters, these protesters are just going to work on her car, scaring her, and they're terrifying her. Just like in King Spawn issue number 1, this was executed to merely garner Spawn's attention. Because from that moment, Al died. From the very second he traded his soul and he became Spawn. He knew that his wife, the love of his life, was destined to die like this. All because Al had been cursed with the powers of the Hellspawn. And as Spawny misses power, this brother gets disintegrated. The flaming bottle of liquor lands on the car, and Spawn is reminded in that very moment that for all his victories, all his powers, he's incapable of changing the past, impotent to prevent a replay of his greatest loss, which is Wanda as she burns alive in the car during the riot. Black Azrael comes in. You must be asking, who would dare do this to her? It was us. We plotted your wife's death, all for the purpose of bringing you to this moment, to your throne, and soon you'll rule not only this world, but you will lord over other worlds you've yet to imagine, Spawn. Now we go into this snow world that has been covered with green, a place of which we can only dream of. The Oracle's talking to Simon. Do you understand what you're seeing, Simon? As they see the reflection of what's going on in this pond. Simon's like, they're trying to hurt Mr. Spawn. No, they're trying to break him so they can use him. But that has angered someone none of us want to see get mad. Is that the person you talk about, Gaia? Yes, and she can make everything die if she wants. That's why Winters has come to this place. And Simon's like, well, why would she do that? Because she's dying too. Like Mr. Spawn's wife, just like that. And then Simon says something that triggers the Oracle, where I'm glad I'm safe here. You're not safe. She wraps her fist around his neck. You weren't brought here to be safe. You're already dead, boy. Stop what you're doing. And meanwhile, while she's strangling Simon around his neck, caught in some odd trance, the Oracle briefly pauses as she hears a whisper. Oracle, the whisper of her master calling. She drops Simon. Simon goes into the woods, and the Oracle looks for Gaia. Flames come out alive like Exodus when God spoke with Moses. You know, when the flames come around the bush, the ground trembles as flame bursts apart in the pond before her, and Oracle listens to Gaia's commands. They have started their war. I told them never to begin, but they've defied me once more, building their throne, thinking their new king will become my equal as they conspire by joining together. My priority right now must be the safety of that boy. Survival rests with him and his well-being. So for your sake and everyone else's, treat that child like you had birthed him yourself. Am I understood, Oracle? Yes, my lord. Raise the child well, for he is a special one. Simon goes into the cold. He sees his big foot imprint and his sharp, dark, shadowy figure overlooking him. And Simon asks him, are you a friend? And it was in that moment that hulking giant leaps forward, a monstrous heap composed of nature's discards. But more importantly, if Al had known what the boy was to become, he might have killed the child himself. I am your teacher, and you are Simon the Kingslayer. And that's where we end Spawn issue number 7. Once again, I wish I could put more enthusiasm with my voice doing this review, and I appreciate those comments where you guys say my yelling and my enthusiasm helps, bring the reviews back to life. But I had to bring out this content because this is a gangster issue, and this feels like old school Spawn, reliving the past, bringing it back forward, pushing it forward, and I'm excited to see where issue number 8 and future stories of this issue goes. This is definitely worth adding to your comic book collection. Link in description if you wish to do so. Now, before we begin with this review, I do want to say about the Carnage number 1 comic book giveaway. I am going to do the review and announce the giveaway by no later than Saturday this weekend. Just waiting on the shipment to come in, but let's get into the review. We begin this issue in the heart of New York City where Wanda Blake's car just appeared to be burning in front of Spawn's face. What kind of magic is this? Jason Wynn with his eyes gouged out looking like Samson from the Bible, and given that this issue is going to reference the Bible a couple times, I just thought it would be fitting to do so. I told you about Swanna. Bringing Wanda back is possible, Spawn, but you need to understand, Al, there are some things even you can't do despite your powers. But if you were all powerful and you took the throne, you could do anything, but we weren't ready. But now we are. The question is, are you? When Spawn's fuming with necroplasm because he's pissed, and what he sees is all these beasts being unleashed like a living nightmare in the streets of New York. The courts of priests know they can make Spawn vulnerable, but not by attacking him directly, but instead eviscerating everything he's sworn to protect. These people. Terry, get these people to safety, says Al. It may be too late, as these people, these court of priests, these monsters are just going savage on these people. Beast mode, and blood begins to flow and overwhelm the streets. And Black Azrael's like, we gave you a chance, hell, Spawn. You should have taken it. Spawn takes them all one by one. Zara, one of the gods' greatest angels who once led the Seraphim, and Turn was a man who was previously and hideously mutated, rips his horns out and slices Zara up in the throat. Mammon, a former lord from hell, along with a half a dozen others. Enough, says Black Azrael. I'll not give you the satisfaction to gloat at our misery, Spawns. Psalm 137 says, happy is the one who seizes your enemies and infants and bashes them against the rocks. The infants aren't simply children, Spawn. They're whatever our enemy may cherish. When I was a young angel, you bashed parts of heaven before my eyes. I watched you tear through a family of my angels. They were weak, powerless, and you defeated them and shamed them. I thought my cherished heaven was infallible, but you showed me otherwise. Well, hey, you know, Spawn's your boy, right? And now he's looking like a Dave Bautista over here, not looking like Drax, but doesn't it look like Dave Bautista? What do you guys think about that? Just let me know. I left paradise, Spawn, then ripped the wings from my own back. And I remember in Gunslinger, Spawn, when Gunslinger ripped the wings from the angel's back, it is just like the ultimate form of like defeat, low, humiliation. But I learned it wasn't power that you had, it was a lie. You have rage, you have vengeance, and that's not true power. You still don't have that, not yet, but you could, Spawn. Then you can lead us all against those who lied to me in heaven and those who helped kill the woman that you always loved. Wanda, sit on the throne and you become a force none could ever fathom. Grab your destiny, Spawn. That sounds like kind of preacher status right there, but hey, I'm just going with it. And by the way, before I go any further, I appreciate the comments when you guys say you appreciate the energy and you like the energy that I put in the videos, even though I thought it might be too much. Well, I do these videos in the early morning with caffeine, the help of coffee, so anyways, the greatest form of compliment you guys could give me is just by watching the video, liking the video, and commenting. But I will never oppose if any of you guys buys me a cup of coffee before the next comic book review. Link in the description, but I will continue on with the review. Spawn snaps, possessed with the madness that can no longer be contained. He rages, he gets angry, and madness from within, from years and years of what others think he needs. But he's sick of it, and he's sick of them. It's not time to play by their rules. He's playing by his own rules and his agenda, which is a total destruction of all his enemies, especially those that stand in the way. And he tries to go after Black Azrael, but he gets all power flex. You disappoint me, Spawn. We came to you out of respect, despite so many transgressions on my people, because your energy force gives you divinity to sit upon the God throne, and the others can't. But a clock has begun, and they go ham. It looks like Black Azrael is ripening the floor with Spawn, triggering the decree in which the quarter priests will turn their wrath upon earth and turning it to nothing, Spawn, if you don't take the damn throne. So take the offer, go raise your queen. And we see an image of Wanda with wings calling out his name. Ow, Wanda? Spawn, you have to know this has to be a trick of some sort. She suffered enough, Spawn. Why? You guys did this, right? Now you putting this in Spawn's face? And Spawn's like, okay. So Spawn's like, okay, there's 100 things he can yell back at them. He withholds all of them. He won't dignify Black Azrael with the response. And counter to every instinct in him, he searches for control. You can't fight it, Al, says Jason, when your rage is your true nature. That's the king we came looking for. That's what happens when you accept that rage. And Spawn's like, well, I'm going to unleash that rage. The Bible has a quote in Kings chapter 16, verse 11. When he began to reign, as soon as he sat on his throne, that he slew all, including emissaries like the court of priests or corrupt prophets like Black Azrael. And I love this arc going back and forth with Black Azrael. And it looks like Black Azrael is getting the upper hand, but Spawn's rage is just something they can't overpower. And Spawn's like, all right, you want me to be your leader? Your supposed king? Fine. let's do it. But I want you to know right now, if I get that power, my first act will be to rip your powers from you, then kill you where you stand. Be careful what you wish for. Now, who's got the stomach to finish this game? And the group, they stand looking at Spawn like, I don't know, bro. We don't want none of this smoke. You know, we just want to show you our worthiness and give you worship that you deserve so you can unlock the dead zones. And Spawn's like, so they have to retreat. You're not taking this seriously, Al. You're so close to holding your queen once more. Why won't you take that gift? And he's like, because y'all been seduced by hell for far so long, and I'm not into that kind of pelvic sorcery. You actually believe your own lies? I don't. I'm just joking about the pelvic sorcery. That Dave Bautista look got me thinking Guardians of the Galaxy. So Black Azrael's like, if you doubt us, ask the Oracle. Demand Gaia tell you what the secret she's planning for you on Earth. I promise you, you won't like what she says. Is this referencing in the last issue where Gaia or that monster is going to train Simon how to be the Kingslayer for Spawn? I'm wondering if that's what it is. And Terry's like, so that's it? You're just going to let them go and not pay for their actions? Spawn's like, man, they said what they needed to say. Well, you've gone soft, Spawn. I don't think so. Perhaps I've gotten wiser. And the plant emerges from the ground. That's probably the goddess herself sending me an invitation or a death threat. Now, 2 years ago, when the green was alive and healthy, when its watchful sentry, the Oracle, and her faithful steed found a fallen angel, Black Azrael. So we get a little bit of history of Black Azrael here. He was on the brink of madness as he entered the foot of their sacred garden. With him, a lifeless body of a woman, which I presume to be Wanda. You have no place here. Guy takes none from heaven or hell. Turn and leave. You've been warned, boy. Your goddess will want to hear what I've got to say. Go ahead and spew your lies. She doesn't want to hear it. But like them, you will still not enter the lands. My pet, you are free to feed. This hideous looking mofo goes to eat Azrael and Wanda, and he's like, okay, it's shame you were such a beautiful creature, but now you're hideous. It's over in a flash. She flies through the creature's skull, but the sacred law has been broken. Okay, for the first time, a law that states shedding blood in the green is not permitted. Weren't you about to eat this brother just a moment ago? But because he killed you first, now the sacred law has broken? Sounds like a double standard to me. So Black Azrael's like, this woman was with me. The green is the only place for her body to rest. It needs to be here where neither heaven or hell can corrupt it. And this girl's like, we don't want your poison. Hold your tongue, woman. And he backhands her, and he's like, what have you done? The green is sacred and pure. And he's like, man, look, I came for your help and to tell God, if she doesn't wake up soon, her cherished earth and the green will be scorched. And that's where we end off with that. Then we go into the next panel where Simon is training with this monster. I don't know what the heck this monster is, but he's training him to become the Kingslayer. And while he's doing it, he's also telling the story of Gaia and the green as well. Simon's like, so what happened to the angel? Was Gaia mad? Yes, she raised me back from the dirt. She told us about you. Well, I want to play some more. What else did she say? I want to beat you. And the monster's like, okay, you will. And you've gotten better, Simon. This is one piece, one step towards being Kingslayer and fulfilling your destiny. And Simon's like, as a kid, he's like, I don't know what that means. What is my destiny? You will get there. Don't be surprised what you and your sword will be able to unleash. And as the sword's in the ground, it begins to crack. On Earth, cracks are signs that something has broken and left unchecked. Cracks will only become worse. And often we learn the hard way. We shouldn't have ignored the crack for so long. But here in the green, this crack is just the beginning. Underneath, the body Azrael had brought to the green opens its eyes. And it's the long slumber of the queen is complete, which is Wanda. And that's how we end this issue. I got to say, King Spawn issue number 8 is just gangster. It picks up exactly where it left off. Very rich. I definitely could get jiggy with this book, and I'm loving this book. And also, it's a great history lesson for Spawn as well. But link in description if you wish to add this comic book to your comic book collection. And with that being said, we begin this issue with Spawn walking in the blistering cold. Black Azrael sends Spawn towards the pit of the chaos to the place called the Green, along with a cryptic message. Ask Gaia about Wanda. You might not like what you hear, Spawn. What did he mean by that? Is this all connected to the court of priests, a group that Spawn wasn't able to stop? Spawn knows he can't go at them directly, so he'll have to devise a new plan. But first, he needs to know if they're somehow using Wanda. That's all that matters to him. Terry did tell Spawn previously, you're letting them use you, Al. You're letting them make this personal. He's correct, because vengeance is always personal. A tiny plant growing between the cracks in broken concrete had invited Spawn here. He feels the cold, which means his powers are being drained, but he'll worry about that later because he doesn't know how much of that power he'll need. You are intruding, says he, the giant monster. Shout out to Lower Toaster for commenting on that from the previous video because I did not know what the name of that monster was. Spawn's like, bruh, I didn't ask to come here. Someone wanted me here, and I want to know why. The Oracle's like, I know you ain't that delusional, Simmons. You must have an idea of your part in all this. You're useless if you don't. This is a way gods negotiate by neutralizing their enemy's strength. The Oracle launches an energy attack on Spawn. Then the monster attacks with all his might. Your past isn't here, Spawn, and your influence means nothing. The Green had been an unlikely ally to Spawn, but the Sigil, Black Azrael, that Dave Bautista looking mofo, and Simon, the child. Spawn senses that they're all part of this puzzle, and the brother's not entirely wrong about that. Spawn has had enough of the Oracle's bull jive and flies to the heap like, yeah, son, tell your mama to save me a plate. But I might have lost my appetite at the same time because that's just nasty. Where is Gaia? Spawn demands an answer and boom! He's blasted with the energy blast from behind. Damn, lady, disrespect. At least hit a brother from the front. Spawn is told that he's trespassing here and that he's lost all rights to demand anything. The deeper into the garden he enters, the more he becomes truly what he is. And what is that? He's someone desperate to be a man again as he forms back into his human self. He will never be that again, but that hasn't stopped him wanting it every day since being cursed as a hellspawn. He grabs the Oracle by the throat, lifts her up, and demands the whereabouts of Gaia. He's acting like he's got nothing to lose and everything to gain. We all know that this is a dangerous recipe right here. He clutched her throat to assert his dominance, not so much to harm her. The Oracle did warn Spawn after he defeated King Kate in issue 3, if he didn't end this war, her master will. I am here and I've been watching you, says Gaia, nature's queen. The air splits, turning wind into a tornado. She is here and she is everywhere. Spawn tells Gaia that he was told to ask about a soul named Wanda Blake. Gaia is fully aware of that. Spawn's like, you know what? What are you hiding? Everything, says Gaia. All the pieces of Earth you humans haven't already contaminated. We are hiding the souls of children you Spawn couldn't save. A better world is what Gaia is also hiding. A better world that will shine when wars with heaven and hell have played themselves out. Your ego won't let you stop, Spawn. You could have been king, but your nature is far too cruel to hold that role. I just got to add that the art is sick, and this lady, look, even though she's weird looking, you got to show a little appreciation of that. And she goes into a backstory how Spawn has forgotten his history. You came years ago to the Green, took your powers in to teach you some humility, Spawn, which is a reference to Spawn 75. The Dark God Urizen. Remember, he looked like he would defeat you, but my army saved both our worlds. Cogs, medieval Spawn, Black Azrael, I indulged them all. Knowing that however distasteful it may be, they too are part of the future, Spawn. One where you finally learn how to act like a rightful king, where all wars end, allowing Earth to grow once more. Azrael wants you to embrace that future, as do I. Nature is the last faction in the fray, needing to rid of you, Spawn. Your cruel soul has to go first. After Gaia gives Spawn a history lesson, the Oracle says this command: before taking any crown, strike, my child. The Kingslayer lets out a blast from the sword, which weakens Spawn some more. When he defends himself, Kingslayer's helmet dislodges, revealing that it's Simon, the same boy who died in the explosion from issue number 1, and the same boy who was with King Kate in issue number 3. But somehow he aged, and he is no longer a child. You should have let me go or be taken by King Kate. I'll make you regret that. Here, he is another victim of an army that turns children into soldiers. Psalms 137, the Exodus Foundation, Gaia and her Green, they're all guilty of this. Convincing children's souls that they have a purpose, that they're special. They're all knights in the fairy tale. Owl knows that the children are victims, just like he was. The Oracle reminds Spawn, you are a man in the garden, not a god. Choose your actions wisely. But should you win, you will need to destroy the heap next. With the hole in his midsection? Bruh. This place has turned you all insane, said Spawn. With his anger, one question is implanted in Owl's brain. Why? Why did Gaia bring Owl here to fight a boy? Then it makes sense to Owl. She needs a sacrifice of some kind. He says to Simon that they're using him. Simon calls him a liar. Owl kicks him back, literally, so maybe he'll listen. I'll beat you senseless if that's what it takes, boy. They're using you, so I'd rather beat them not you. For Simon being the Kingslayer, he's not ready to slay anything at this point. Al calls out Gaia. Is that your plan, Gaia? Your plan is for me to fight a child? If my powers work your eye, before Spawn can finish his sentence, Gaia is like, show me what you could do. The symbiote is coursing through his veins, and Spawn is exactly what the guy wants him to do. Show her! That's what he's gonna do. He blasts the Oracle and Heat back. He tells Simon to get up and run. Gaia's like, no, you won't. I control the souls here. They listen to my whispers, not you. And with a mere wave, she demonstrates that fact. It takes 4 seconds for her to absorb all of Spawn's opponents. The wind blows and the silent blankets the area. Then she speaks once more in pure silence. I need to show you something. Azrael came here years ago to deliver us a body. One he claimed was too important to be left alone in heaven. A gust blows across a patch of snow, revealing the hidden treasure. Wanda, the look on Spawn's face like, dude, after all this time, after all these years, now I get to see my beloved? And Guy is like, oh no, she's not yours. She and her rights belong to Azrael since he brought her on my land. But there is a way for you to change that, Spawn. As king, you can raise heaven's souls from the dead. Azrael promised me that if that happened, you and all your kind would leave the earth forever, letting your entire planet return back to the green state. Lose your anger, become king, and reunite with your wife, or I make her dust. Now, this is something that Spawn has to ponder. Every time he gets tempted to take the crown, every task it gets more tempting. Spawn has always wondered a million times since her death that if he had all the power, one day could he really bring her back. But how? How will that ever be possible if one of the tasks can never be completed? Because how can Al Simmons, this vengeful hellspawn, ever lose his anger? And that's where we end this issue. I don't know what Spawn's gonna do. I'm gonna leave it at that. I thought it was good. I thought this was really good. I'm just curious about the next issue. Obviously I am, because that's the way King Spawn always ends. But what do you guys think Spawn will do? I don't know. Comment below, let me know. Now, before we go any further, we're just going to do a quick touch-up on the previous issue, where Spawn traveled to the Green World by the invitation of Gaia. Once there, he was attacked by the Heap and Simon the Kingslayer. After surviving, Gaia gives Spawn a grave warning about bringing Wanda back to life if he takes the throne. And when we begin this issue, it starts off with black, white with the flood of red. I believe it's inferring the real transformation of rage that's taking place with Spawn as he begins to inherit the throne as King Spawn, which may lead to what the character's becoming or about to become. So while Spawn faces down Gaia over the potential fate of his wife, his friend Terry roams the streets of New York. Like Al, Terry loved Wanda too. And like Al, he's learned too much to let certain things go. First and foremost, that his wife Wanda could possibly return from the dead. If Spawn takes Azrael's offer, the Exodus Foundation can make that happen. It's why he needs to get inside their building. He needs to see for himself all their inner workings. And that is where this guy comes from. And that guy, his name is Leonard Cole. He works at the janitorial night shift at the Exodus. He introduces himself where he tells Terry hello, and Terry within seconds puts him out. Just takes him down real quick with the swiftness. The only person to witness that, or the only thing to witness the beating, is the mud puddles, or so Terry thinks. He gets his jumpsuit, some keys, and a couple covert tools. That'll be good enough, even in the shadowy presence behind him, because that shadowy presence is Spawn's shadow always haunting Terry. And he talks to the shadow. I've got lock, picks, and a gun. I don't need you. But it turns out the trick is on himself, because Terry realizes the ghost isn't really there. It's a trick, one that his own mind keeps playing on him. Eventually he gathers himself together because it's time to execute the plan. The cleanup staff changes shift at midnight, so the entire building will be like a skeleton crew. And like most people, no one notices the janitor. As long as he keeps his head down, he's on time, keeps his nose low to the ground, and just does his business. Terry goes to the elevator. He looks at the building's blueprints online. There's a locked floor on the elevator panel number sequence. He's about to fix that. The door opens. He gets to his floor, and Terry hears voices. I told you he'll fail. I told you the plan's working. Spawn's chasing Azrael's tail, so the plan's working. And what he hears is these two demonic brothers, Zab and Ab. And they're having a conversation about the combining their teleportation powers, how that brought back Kincaid and Jason Wynn from the Dead Zone. And that's referencing King Spawn issue 3 and issue number 5. Terry realizes, though, these two demonic brothers, Zab and Ab, don't look like much. Their ability to teleport has helped return old enemies to Earth. And they were talking some more. Imagine what we can do if we were healthy. Who else could we free? Hey, bro, are you listening? It's all the Shadow Man. We're just part of it, so get over yourself. What really matters in the grand scheme of things is Spawn wants his wife back. And we all want this world. So at some point, we're going to make Spawn choose one or the other. The world or Wanda. Terry sees it in his own mind's eye. He sees Morono seducing the tech billionaires, making use of their social channels, causing neighbors to turn on neighbors and families on each other. And at the end of all this would be Azrael walking towards us with this beast behind him, ready to cause destruction and mayhem. Terry arms himself with the night vision goggles. He turns the lights out. The brother's like, what the hell? Terry knows he's out of this league, and the only thing that'll keep him alive right now is his anger. He has to channel the inner rage of Spawn, and he attacks the brothers, goes to work on them. As his blood boils, Terry channels the same rage and anger he's seen from Spawn. Tell me where Wanda is. She's not in the Dead Zones, and the only one strong enough to bring her back is the king, says one of the brothers. What does that mean, says Terry. In his anger, Terry had momentarily forgotten about the other brother. He goes in from behind with this knife and impales him in his eye. And Terry's skills aren't close enough to be able to defeat the two demons at once. And the brothers are like, that's what happens to anyone trying to delay the king's journey towards his throne. Let's go, little brother. Terry just lays there. You're not going anywhere, says Terry, and he gets back up. Turns out in the military, they teach you how to play possum. That knife that went through his night goggles did not exactly go through his eyes, just a couple inches away from it. Never turn your back on special forces, says Terry. Though Terry knows that the blade had penetrated another inch or two, he will be dead. He scours the rest of the floor and he feels a chill. A good soldier trusts his instinct. Terry had the same feeling dozens of times before. It always means something's wrong, and he waves through the horrific mix running down the hall as he prepares for anything. The more I go on in this book, I'm kind of digging the red, black, and white coloring in this. But he wasn't ready for this. Welcome, Terry. I've been waiting for you, as Spawn sits on the throne. Al sounds different to Terry. It's not the echo of his voice, but the phrasing of the language. It sounds regal. Tell me why you're here. What are you scared of, that this throne will take my soul? I'm afraid you're going to try bringing her back, says Terry. Why? Because secretly you want her for yourself? That Wanda is yours, she's not yours. And Terry's like, bro, she's not coming back, Al. You need to accept it. He doesn't even acknowledge him as king. He just acknowledges him as Al. Too bad, says Spawn. You don't have a say in that. I do. They weren't lying, Terry. She can come back if I want her to. If you really love her, you don't want to do that, Spawn. Or actually, he calls him out because he's not going to acknowledge him as King Spawn. Don't tell me what I can do. Not even after you betrayed me. Not after you stole her from me. The God Throne bubbles made from the monsters Al has slain, their putrid bodies are coursing through his vein as he sits on his throne. I know what I'm dealing with, and I need you to see it too. Terry's like, I'll take you down now if I have to, so you gotta get a grip. That's right, my boy. Get mad. Rage. I'll need that spirit, because if I fail, you will need to find a way to kill me. But we aren't there yet, so don't worry. Soon, very soon, you will know what you need to do, because either every one of my enemies will pay for their connection to Wanda's death, or I will need them to claim the throne for myself. If it comes to that, Terry. Destroy me any way you have to. What about Wanda, says Terry. As he sinks into the shadow, Al whispers, leave her to me. Then once Spawn and Terry are gone, the true architects of the night appear. The court of priests. It has begun, says Ezra, as it would. Simmons has felt the power of the throne. It runs through him, and now that urge will be near. It will only grow. When it consumes him, the dead zones will open. And one of the brothers is like, when he does that, we annihilate him and everyone he cares for. Azra has no patience for this. That type of thinking is what got the dead zone seals in the first place. You let Spawn rule uncontrolled, then you guys are fools. And the monster's like, Zab is right. We've given Spawn too much knowledge. And the girl's like, you'll follow the laws. The same laws all of us on the court of priests agree to. Enough, says Azrael. When you know Simmons better than anyone, what do you think?
And the brother is like, not Terry, but the other Abrazab, I can't tell the distinction with this black, white, and red. He says when he believes his cause is right, he won't let anything or anyone stand his way. You offered him his queen. We need him to be our king now. Because whether Simmons likes it or not, he's tied to the throne. The God throne has felt its king. Now it awaits him, his inevitable return. Look, see for yourself. The throne mantle is telling us who'll sit and be our Lord. Simmons will return back to hell, then finally he will fulfill his true destiny. And that's where we end this review, this issue of King Spawn, issue number 10. This issue has both grit and foreshadowing that this may not be the last time we see the black, white, and red format being used. I totally get that it's used as a way of the transformation of Spawn's rage, or the rage that's taking place with Spawn based on what happened in issue number 9. So if this is how King Spawn is going to present itself, I might be open to another red, black, and red color, because it feels like a Frank Miller Sin City kind of vibe, but I kind of dig it. I really do. Yo, this is the most violent issue of Spawn I've read so far. Before we go into the issue, I'm just going to give a little flashback. An assault by Terry on the headquarters of the Court of Priests seems to go as planned, until Spawn shows up and delivers an ultimatum to Terry that could change their relationship forever. So now Spawn has been sitting on the throne, on the God throne, for 2 weeks. By sitting on that damn throne, it was only going to be a matter of time before he hunts again. The moment they mentioned Wanda, he knew he would do this, and they knew that he had to. Now one by one, Spawn plans on making him scream, and Tremor will be the first to fall. And the more brutal they fall, the louder they get his message. Spawn's like, shoots his gun in the air like, dude, I forgot how good it feels to hold a gun again. It's been a while. And he tells Tremor, you're going to be the next example of what they can look forward to. You think you could dig up my kids? Dig up my wife and kill kids? Apologies, they didn't dig up kids. Maybe they did. Why? Because you want off this damn earth. Is that it? Well, that's not happening. None of you are getting out of here. And Tremor's like, need to tell the Court of Priests. Spawn's like, well, freaking tell him then. Boom! Clobbers him. It's not gonna save them from me. Boom! And you're not gonna get saved from me. Boom! Clobbers him again, and Spawn is just going on a violent rampage. And Spawn goes into this monologue. They want the dead zones open, that they made it clear from the very start. But what did they do to get my attention to do that? They took the ugliest parts of my past and twisted them. It's unforgivable. With heaven, hell, and Gaia working together, they think the only choices they've given me are now to save the world or save my wife. Why can't I do freaking both? Why? So that's the game they want to play? Then I'll play that shit. And Spawn's like, am I your king now? And Tremor's like, yes. Bow to me and answer, am I your king? Damn, Spawn, you getting all. Did you eat today, brother? I mean, I know gas prices are high, but at least you got necroplasm teleportation. And then Spawn goes into it. You want to know how I found you tonight? How I knew you were here? Because I am military trained. That's why I hunt down my targets. And now the Court of Priests on the top of my shit list. And Spawn's like, and I remembered, people who thought they were powerful, they get sloppy, they get stupid like you. All that power you wield, and yet you still go back to the same shit houses you did when you were just some punk. Why? So you can show off that power and exact revenge on those who belittled you in the past, disrespected you, like that mobster's son you took out to the back alley and you clobbered him. How did that make you feel? Did it make you feel more of a man when you did that? So, how did I find you, says Spawn? I followed your evil. And Spawn's like, and then all your dead friends, the one that I slayed while taking the throne, they all came out screaming at me, begging me to come pay you a visit. And all those people that he slayed come out of Spawn's internal organs and just go to work on Tremor. Spawn's like, they want to show me their loyalty to me. They want to show their loyalty to me, Tremor. And they just end Tremor right then and there. So Terry was scared at what they might do to Spawn. He knew it was a trick meant to enslave Al, but not Al. Al Simmons like, nah, if I take that God throne, it's a chance to increase my powers and to exact revenge. That's because Al, when pushed, is controlled by his emotions with the anger that's always present. The only thing is, to what degree? Terry knows this about his friend for the first few months they joined the military academy. Since he's become a Hellspawn, it's only gotten worse. Tonight, his enemies will meet that rage. Among them, Mammon, and Spawn goes to work on Mammon, just ends him. And Zara, Spawn goes to work on Zara and ends her too. Terry, though, has chosen a much longer view of the situation. He saw what the throne did to Spawn. Terry is curious what else it might be capable of as he looks upon the God throne, thinking maybe I can use it to bring Wanda back to life. So the military or whoever these guys are like, what the hell is that? He blasts him off. The throne, Terry knows it needs to be destroyed, but before it can trick him into thinking it can bring Wanda back, like it did to Al, it's not a trick. The throne speaks to Terry, telling Terry to submit his mind to every possibility. With every word spoken, the volume in his brain becomes a louder and deafening sound, teaching, preaching, and the throne tells Terry, I will show you how Wanda returns, and you shall see how Spawn ends your world. Is he dead? Says another figure that Terry comes back from the explosion with all that information coming in. No, the men I trained are amazingly resilient. And you know, based on King issue Spawn number 5, that person is a disruptor. Jason Wynn, who trained Spawn and Terry. Blocks away, Zab runs for his life like a wild animal fleeing from its enemy, hoping he won't get eaten. As he runs. As he runs away from whatever he's running from, we can only imagine it's Spawn. He snaps his finger thinking that the teleportation will open up a portal, but his teleportation's failing him. He feels it. He's weak. And then all of a sudden, he feels Spawn coming back from behind him, and Spawn shatters Zab's finger, making teleportation impossible now. And Spawn's like, dude, I need to get more asses on the plate. But Azrael comes in, clobbers Spawn from behind. Finally, we've been awaiting your return, waiting for you to lead our resurrection or pass that mission to someone more worthier than you. And Spawn's like, really, bruh? All you know is hate. It's blinded you to everything else. And if you're not willing to see what you are, then boom, and Ray Lewis is his ass through the wall. Woo! Let's make it official. If he can't see it, says Spawn, and he gouges his eyes out and just squeeze that eyeball just for good measure. Just squeeze it. And the creature, I don't recall who this creature is, but the creature tells Spawn, it's Wanda. You're not the only one who loved her enough to want her back. What does that mean? That means Terry. Terry rises and tries to clear the fog, still blanketing his brain as he nears the throne again. He's careful not to touch it though. There was something he saw that just does not sit well with him, but something needs to be done. So he gets to work doing what he came here for in the first place. And this creature's like, we're just supposed to let it happen. And the disruptor, Jason went underneath, is like, yes, Marana, you'll see. Admiring his work, Terry takes a step back, plants a C4 on all that chair. He's like, you shouldn't have effed with my wife. Boom! Explosion happens, blows up the quarter priest building and the God throne. We warned you, Simmons, told you to just do your duty or you lose everything and everyone you ever cared for. And that promise is just getting started. And that's where we end this issue of King Spawn, issue number 11. Dude, this has got to be the most violent and brutal Spawn I've read, in my personal opinion, but you guys let me know in your comment section below. Not to mention, this book is gangster. Spawn had all this rage and all this power, so now that the God Throne is destroyed or blown up, or presumably blown up, we don't know until the next issue. Does that mean Spawn's power goes away with it too? Love the issue. I thought it was absolute gangster, and I can't wait to read more of King Spawn, but this is by far one of my favorite issues. Just a quick summary, Terry's attempt to destroy the God Throne succeeds, but at what cost? Spawn is determined to teach the court of priests a lesson they will never forget. As Terry wakes up from the explosion that he blew up the God Throne, Terry wakes up from the explosion of the God Throne. He put enough C4, enough to take out an entire floor. Terry had seen what the Hellish Throne did to Al, and he knew that even if it killed him, he had to try to destroy it. He still lives, but what about his targets? And he sees the God Throne and it forms into like this crown from Spawn's dead enemies. Science tells you that you can't destroy energy. It can only be converted into something else. So despite Terry's best efforts, the energy of all of Spawn's monsters that he's slain lives on, waiting for its king as it forms into a crown. Meanwhile, in this other panel right here, everyone's been coming for Spawn for a long time. And he's going on a hellish and brutal battle with Azrael. Get on your damn feet! Fight me! Azrael thought somehow this outcome would be different because he murdered children. He freed Kincaid. Jason Wynn brought back to life to haunt Al's life, along with using his wife, Wanda, to torture Al. The combo is what's fueling Spawn's rage. I'm going to destroy that throne. God said, won't allow that to happen. And he goes up from behind Spawn and sacks him like an NFL quarterback, not even seeing nothing coming from his blind side. Boom! We waited a long time for this. This is our time. You'll lead this war into the dead zones, one way or another, and become what we're meant to be. Meant to be, says Spawn. Now he goes into this monologue. His enemies have all gone insane since he locked them all out of the dead zones, not being able to return to their natural habitats in heaven or hell, which has driven many of his enemies to pure act of desperation, deluding themselves into thinking they can control Simmons' rage. Rage for a life stolen, rage for those that betrayed him, and rage for unearthly beasts and their cowardice for preying on innocents. Tell your God I'm coming for him and his damn kingdom, says Spawn, and he rips out God-sent wings. And that, when we remember in Gunslinger Spawn issue number 1 or issue number 2, that is the most humiliating and lowest you can make an angel feel by ripping the wings from their back. As he savagely rips one of the angel's rings from its spine, he remembers he's battling more than those outcasts. Zab is now at Azrael's side, another recruit who believes in their madness. As Azrael explains and goes into this dialogue like, hey Spawn, you're gonna open up these danzos, or else we're duking it out and you ain't gonna like it. Azrael's words come from the book of Revelation, a bastardization of that passage, but Azrael still believes in every syllable he speaks, for these are the end times for a world about to go extinct. Destroy the throne if you want, Spawn, but not until your opponent. The world isn't worthy of you. You're worthy of that, Spawn. Take the damn throne, Spawn! Your true servants await you on the other side. It's time to join heaven, earth, and hell together with us at your side to help guide you. And Spawn's like, to what end? You can't, so you can rule all of it? No, you will rule with us. Take him to the dead zone and show him what's at stake, says Black Azrael. But Zab is like, dude, my hand is kind of weak. Azrael's like, just do it. But the thing is, with this injury to his hand, and he's not strong enough to send Spawn to the dead zones because in the previous issue, Spawn broke his hand. He can't do it. All he can do is open a portal on Earth, which transports Spawn from one point to another in the same vicinity to dodge their attack. Zab, what the hell is your magic doing? I'll handle this then. Black Azrael just goes in and attacks Spawn. They go duke it out. And I love these panels of the art. It's clean, it's crisp. The art's like manga, but savage at the same time. Just loving this, man. So Black Azrael tells Spawn, why won't you just save your wife? Tell me her body awaits you in the green, but her soul is locked behind the dead zones. Unlock it and bring your lover back to life. And this snake comes out of his freaking eye. And you know I hate freaking snakes, man. But you know what, for King Spawn, I might just let it slide because this is really sick and hellish and you got to have some of that action, you know? So the snake comes in, pummels Spawn to the ground. Spawn's like, no, Al wants to believe all this, but he knows it's a damn lie. And Azrael's like, Gaia will deliver one until you can save her, Spawn, and there's suffering as he impales her. The snake from his eye just wraps around him. He lifts him up with his fear and just tortures him and throws him to the other end. Protector and the innocent humans you profess to care so much, Spawn, and their suffering. Take the throne. The book of Psalms asks us to murder our enemy's children. It begins how all this begins. But do you know how it ends, Spawn? It ends with Simmons coming of our king. And Spawn's like, man, I'm tired of hearing that fucking word king. You know, I'm tired of hearing that. They don't want someone to lead them. They need someone to use them. Someone to manipulate until they can strip their leader of every ounce of that power he has so they can wield that power for themselves. And Spawn understands that the only result from those incapable of holding such power is complete destruction. A total scorched earth for everything that is alive. And Spawn's like, okay, he rips off the being impelled from Black Azrael with that sphere. He's like, okay, let's pretend you're right. Let's just say the world needs me to save it. It needs me a king. Your mistaken thinking is, why would I need any of you? And he goes back and attacking and goes in savagely. And Black Azrael's like, then you're the one that's made the mistake, Simmons, because killing us won't stop any of this. Oh yeah? But it'll stop you. And that's enough. One by one, I'm taking out my freaking enemies. Use your magic, Zab, says Azrael. Send Azrael back to heaven. What the hell's happening here? For a brief moment, Spawn links his necro power to Zab's magic, creating the slightest sliver that sucks Azrael through it. And where he gets sucked to is back to heaven, where he returned home to the same heaven that cast him out to begin with. He's known to all of them as just one thing: traitor and an outcast. And they all come in and they're just gonna jump off on him, and you use your imagination what's gonna happen to Black Azrael in this one right here. So back in the Exodus Foundation building, Terry stares at what he believes to be a damnation itself. I've seen you in my dreams, as he looks to the crowd, yet he can't believe it. He can't help but to be drawn for it. You're brave, says the disruptor, which is Terry. Jason went underneath, coming all the way to face monsters you could never defeat. So you try to destroy their most prized possession, which is the crowd. You're merely just human. Why are you so damn driven? I had a dream, says Terry. military. And like you, I'm trying to survive this war. And the dream had a lot of catastrophe in it, as we see this picture of Spawn and Wanda, because in his dreams, he saw numbers that coalesced. 137 became 11. You know, read that part right there. I just got tongue twisted. And when he saw a vision in that dream, it gave chills in his blood, because Al and his new bride, Wanda, his wife, were born in a frightening image. They were the rulers, but they were cruel, willing to kill everyone if they ever had to, even if it meant killing Wanda's own children, Cyan, Kate, and Jake. And Jason Wynn, Disruptor, was like, what catastrophe are you talking about? Have you seen this? What have you seen? Before Jason could answer, a remnant from Spawn battles appears. Before you die, God said, tell me, where is Israel, says the Disruptor. Vanquish, said Spawn. You'll meet the same fate if you don't give me that damn crown. Simmons, the man knows what the crown can do, because as powerful as Spawn is, he wasn't lying when he spoke to Terry from the throne when he said, you may have to stop me if all this becomes too much. And that's a callback to issue number 10 or 11. I believe it's 10. The black, white, and red panel of Spawn. He knows he can bring her back, and as much as he tried to deny it all, Al has given into the thought of being reunited with her, and he'll lead an army without them knowing it, just to find her. All hail to the king. And that is the end of this issue. This is definitely a gangster ass issue of King Spawn. I don't think this is the end of the story arc. I don't know. But in terms of storytelling, the story is gangster, the art is insane, and the 6 pages or 7 pages just duking it out with Black Ezra and all the battle and the intense battle scenes with it. You cannot, the price of this book is worth it just for that. Link in the description if you wish to add this comic book to your comic book collection. With that being said, King Spawn, issue number 12. What you guys think of the comic book? Comment below, let me know. And also, if you like the content we're throwing up, you know what to do. Don't be shy and don't be stingy. Here at Rated Comics, we do awesome comic book reviews, comic book related content with the occasional comic book giveaway. Thanks again for watching. Until next time.